This is The David Lehman Show.
And I am your humble host, David Lehman, here on WJUL 97.5 and AM 1230. And as always, WJULradio.com to listen live. To my left, I am treated in the studio today with father, author, and pontificator extraordinaire, the inimitable Paul Riley. And his feedback, as you'll soon see, is immeasurably valuable. Now, who's heard this before? This is the most important election of your life. Blah, blah. In regard to the upcoming election, cherry-picked polls showing close races or even the other side winning can serve, even if untrue, to galvanize the base. Paul, your thoughts on that?
Well, anytime you have an election coming up, they're going to want to energize their base first, because unless you have your base with you in your hip pocket, you're in a lot of trouble.
I hear you. And how would you go about doing that? How would you go about galvanizing a base, do you think?
Well, you got to play to their baser instincts. You got to.
Oh, that's cute.
You have to scare the wits out of them, and that's can be on either side.
Well, one of the things as we observe is that a known successful strategy is adding a local special issue to a ballot initiative. Like, say, for example, there's a close senatorial race in South Carolina, and the left would look to bring in perhaps a base motivator like minimum wage, because it's a hot-button issue for left-wing people. So people that might otherwise just be sitting on a couch and not really interested in, let's say, Barack or Mittens there, are going to get off their butts to get in and vote on the minimum wage because that's what they want. And ditto for the right. They might try to add English-only initiative to get its base in the booth, those who may not have gone to the polls otherwise. So while already there, it's kind of easy just to check off, yes, Democratic senator, or yes, Republican senator.
Exactly, but I think this time around, the Democrats are the ones that are going to have the trouble energizing their base. I don't think there's going to be any motivation required for the right, even though not everybody's excited about Romney. I think everybody behind the scenes, that silent majority, will actually turn out this year.
And I see, or at least I think I see, like trends. I see dead people. I see big, all right? I see big trends going on, particularly in regard to geopolitics. Geopolitics, of course, the politics between nations on the big grand scale, eating up the globe, as opposed to, more of a nationalistic view locally. So, as I look around, I see a disturbance in the farce. And I'm glad you're sitting down. Investment bank Goldman Sachs owns Mitt Romney, which is Dave speak, or Mittens. That's Dave speak for Mitt Romney. Mittens, I just love that. It has such a warm feel, doesn't it?
He's adorable.
Mittens Romney. Goldman Sachs was a top contributor at $235,000 to Romney in 2008, and I'm going to look for that to double this year. So as a top contributor, in the world of politics, you generally have favors to, quote, pay back, do you not?
Well, I mean, I'm sure what Romney would say is that, they are paying money to my campaign from my election because they already agree with what I have to say. So you're always going to have trouble.
Excellent. You know what? You're like, I feel like a baby bird out there, and you are absolutely just delivering me these delicious worms, because they were also a top contributor to Barack Obama in 2008 in excess of $1 million. Right. Okay,
they play both sides of the fence.
Yes.
The strong horse always gets the money.
It doesn't matter who wins out of those guys, and
well,
now,
the majority. Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, but that was locally, and as we look out over the landscape, in the national landscape, we're going to see the installation, and have seen the installation, of unelected leaders in countries in the EU. And I know two of them offhand, more slated. Any idea whose those might be?
No, Dave, why don't you enlighten me?
I shall. Mario Monti replaces Berlusconi.
That's what I was going to say.
I knew it. I saw it on the tip of your tongue over there. Monti was a leading economist or advisor at, wait for it, where?
Goldman Sachs?
Yo, you're unbelievable. See, this is why.
Sharp as a bowling ball.
Yes, indeed. Greek PM Lupis Papademos. Name familiar? Another one, not elected by the people, but rather installed by
Goldman Sachs.
Maybe? and this, perhaps the cap of the cherry on top of this sundae, Mario Draghi, an economist who succeeded Jean-Claude Trichet as president of the European Central Bank. All these guys working for, in some capacity, Goldman Sachs. So Goldman Sachs, yes, they're interested in American politics, but only to a degree. it almost feels to me like they're searching for world domination, aren't we all?
Well, if they're investing in the EU, I would sell short.
Yes, as would I, and that's
I don't know what it's a fire sale over there. It's going to be ugly
right. But
pretty soon.
does it bother you at all that the people of Greece had no say in who the next leader was, and Goldman Sachs somehow in this massive just kind of appoints somebody? Can you see the ad in the newspaper, the classified section? Come work at Goldman Sachs. You can be the next PM of Spain.
Well, I hadn't heard about them being put into power. All I know is Greece is going up like a grease fire right now, and
it is,
and they can't even form the new government. So if I was in the EU right now, I'd be sweating bullets.
Greece, should it not even secede, but get thrown out of the EU because they're not going to do the austerity measures, and they're trying the frickin' Fourth Reich out of Germany to put the squeeze on them, and if they don't play by the rules, out they go. But if they do go out, revamp the entire thing, have a fair general election, put in somebody good that the people want, he gets in, and they say, look, you have austerity on this side, and you've got complete bankruptcy of the nation on the other. Eventually, the people are going to say, all right, we're going to have to, we're just going to have to bend a little bit because our national survival is more important than our check from Social Security or free health care or only having to work 20 hours a week or whatever their situation is.
No, I think that this is the canary in the coal mine. I think this will be instructive to not just the United States, but a lot of the other countries in the EU, and it really is going to tell the tale, I think, later this year when, whether or not this country goes into full civil unrest.
But are you saying that you feel like the United States is going to follow the course of Greece, or this is a natural human condition to do in these situations?
I think it's inevitable that they will have to cover this on the major 6 o'clock news, and a lot of people are going to catch what's on television, and a lot of people are going to be interested to see what's going on there, and I think it's better than it happening here first.
Interested or horrified? Yes.
Hopefully horrified.
Yeah, hopefully horrified. Right, but as you know, the human species is pretty rough at learning from history, even if it's 5-minute history.
Well, that's true. Everybody has a short-term memory, but I think this country, better than any, is when the rubber meets the road, when things really get down to brass tacks. I am confident that enough people are out there that are going to want to avoid the pain that Greece is going to go through, and we still have time, and it's not going to take draconian cuts, as the word may be,
right.
To really get there. All we have to do is slow the rate of growth, and we could be in fine shape if we can bring back all this capital that's offshore because of our tax.
Right, the onerous tax things.
That's right.
And speaking of that, by the way, how do you stand on that Facebook co-founder that in September kind of thoughtfully said, you know what, I better expatriate here?
It's a brilliant business move.
Yes, we're referring to Zuckerberg's co-host over there at Facebook, who stood to make billions after the IPO. And he wound up months ago relinquishing his U.S. citizenship because had he retained it, he would have been absolutely just, his whole fortune gone, but huge, vast, millions and millions of dollars taken away from him merely by the fact that taxation in this country is onerous, and when relinquishing his citizenship, he is now a Singaporean.
Right. Well, Singapore's a lovely country, and apparently good.
Hold it. No. I'm not extolling the virtues of Singapore now. I'm just saying, what do you think? What do you think about people having to go to those levels of extremes in order to get out from under? And now, Chuck Schumer's up in arms now. He wants to create yet a new law.
Well, that's part of the class warfare tactic. They want to stoke the resentment.
Right. And wealth envy.
Wealth envy is tried and true for the Democratic powers that be. I think the good thing, though, is that, when it comes to these kind of situations, it gets in all the news on Huffington Post, Slate, where liberals go to reside to get their information. It's
the lion's den of liberals.
That's right. And it's going to force some of these common sense independents to say, you know what? I may not agree with it, but I understand why the person's doing it.
So you think the election is really predicated on the swing votes, i.e. the independents?
Yeah, on top of the fact that I don't think that the base is going to turn out for Obama like it had.
Right, and you would be fine knowing Romney's going to get in, being puppet mastered by the same company, Goldman Sachs, that Obama is. I mean, you really see that much of a difference between these two guys?
Look, I mean, you being a Ron Paul acolyte, I can understand.
A Paul-tard to you, sir.
That's right. But I think, not only did Ron Paul, not only did Newt Gingrich, all of the other people in the primaries were pulling him to the right and forcing him, I believe, to stay there. And I think, in the beginning, his original campaign, although he was not my first or even second choice,
right?
I feel like most people on the right and independents are going to coalesce around him, and they're not going to buy the class envy. Oh, Bain Capital killed my dog.
Well, if you're going to ignore Bain, you kind of sort of have to ignore Solyndra as well, or not.
No. I mean, Bain is a privately run company.
The bane of Mitt's existence.
Well, it maybe so. That's what the thinking.
Just a play on words, Mr. Serious.
Yeah. So I think that's not going to fly as well. I think Solyndra has staying power because there's multiple Solyndras now. That is the key. It's like Kleenex. It's the overall name for tissue. Well, that is Solyndra is the name for any green energy boondoggle there is.
Okay, let me just hop off this for 1 second. Again, I'm going to go just a little bit bigger picture here. And I'm going to say that I am truly, passionately sick and tired of the lies.
Amen, brother.
We're constantly being lied to, all the time, everywhere. It matters not which politician we single out, well, with the exception of Ron Paul. He deserves a big pass or a big old smooch on the lips for introducing some very important issues as opposed to this fluff that we always seem to be getting. But it's just everybody worshiping at the almighty temple of the almighty dollar all the time. It's like it's the only thing that matters anymore.
Well,
we've lost our way. You've lost your way, Paul.
Well, yes, I always feel a little dirty when I'm being lied to. And, and money is the mother's milk of politics. That will never change.
Mother's milk. In that spirit, I'm going to play us just a brief little lines, about a minute long, but these are just some fun lines now, lies. And I picked Obama simply because it's the White House, but it really didn't matter which politician I picked. Boom, they're going to be lying. So you kick back and enjoy.
Your employer, it's estimated, would see premiums fall by as much as 3,000%, which means they could give you a raise. You will not see a dime of increased taxes. Not one dime. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient. My proposal would bring down the cost of health care for families, for businesses, and for the federal government. I had a uncle who was part of the first American troops to go into Auschwitz.
You like it, Paul?
Oh, out of the mouths of babes.
The song brings you back, does it not?
Oh, yes. Too far back.
Too back. The liberal faction knows that it requires the conservative faction to survive. It also happens to be the same reason for the last war of independence that was fought here. You see, the parasite never leaves the host willingly unless there's a better host nearby. So urban liberal troglodytes need a large, readily available pool of serfs to survive. Ditto for centralized government, centralized rule of any kind. It was my thought yesterday night. I kind of woke up. I'm like, a parasite has to have a host. Who are they going to go to? Atlas is shrugging is what I'm driving at here. That reference, you're familiar?
Ayn Rand, of course.
Right.
Everybody knows Ayn Rand.
But, if someone says, Paul, well, if you knew Ayn Rand like I knew Ayn Rand, if someone says, Paul Atlas is shrugging, what does that mean to you?
That means watch Grease, and you will be informed immensely of what happens when society gives up.
Yeah, but it's the productive members of society that give up because they're like, if I have to work and all my earnings are being siphoned away from me, basically extorted at the point of a gun if you want to get a little crazy about it. But I'm working, all my money seems to be going out to other people who didn't earn it, i.e. wealth distribution. Atlas is shrugging. The people that make you know what, just screw it.
Right. Well, that's probably why a lot of this recovery is so weak, is because there are a lot of money being held on the sidelines. They're not flying off to a secret air base in the middle of Colorado somewhere and reestablishing.
True.
Well,
like that you know of. You're not in the top 1% over there, buddy.
No. I always strive to
right.
be that way. But I think due to the uncertainty of, or the certainty of tax rates getting worse.
Right.
Obamacare not being fully decided yet, and whether or not that's going to be playing a big part in their hiring.
Sure.
Nobody's touching their wallets until after November 3rd.
Gotcha. And even here in Georgia, there's like no source of revenue that has ever been started to the government that's ever stopped that I can really think of off the top of my head. And it goes down to local levels as well. Right here, Georgia 400. That toll was supposed to end when it was paid, or in 2011, I think it was. And lo and behold, it came time to get rid of that, and because it's a revenue source that's coming in constantly. So as we go on, whenever I see SPLOST, the special local option sales tax, the answer is always no. And primarily the reason is always no, not because the cause isn't like one of those tug at your heartstrings and, poor little Joey with prosthetics walking down ready to go over a cliff if we don't give him, one more penny out of sales tax. No. It's that they've been such miserable stewards of the money we have already given them that they absolutely do not deserve any more and deserve so much less.
Totally agreed. And I think Jerry Brown in California is trying it once again. And I think...
Now, is he... I don't know. I'm not familiar with Jerry Brown.
Well, he's the governor of California for the second time. He's the one that right now is begging to be able to raise taxes because California's shortfall on their budget went from, I think, 9 billion to 16 billion in like 3 weeks.
Let me see if I understand this right. A politician is begging to raise taxes?
Well, it's a begging, maybe that's...
Begging, pleading,
but also threatening behind the scenes because, if we cannot raise these taxes, because we can't cut back spending.
Does anyone mention cutting back spending?
No, that's the thing.
That's preposterous, isn't it?
I mean, first Greece, then maybe France or Portugal, then California.
California's number 6 economy in the world. At least it was last time I looked. But after Italy, I'm thinking Spain, Portugal, maybe France. And, it'll jump around. Ultimately, it'll be here. The only people I have any real hope for over there, I guess, is Ireland. In the EU,
well,
they got
in trouble too.
Yeah, but they got cajoled. And they got forced, and the first time they put the vote to the Irish people, they're like, and we don't think we want to be part of this. We kind of sort of like our sovereignty, thanks.
They tried to do the right thing.
They did, and they got almost like a blitzkrieg worth of advertising in their face and threats and all the stuff that's going to happen if you don't join the EU. And it's that move toward the NWO, the New World Order of just more and more power in fewer and fewer hands. I mean, that certainly is the trend. I mean, that's certainly where things seem to move.
Well, the one part I'd agree with you is that this would be probably their plan to try to collapse the whole thing, to try to force this New World Order. Where I disagree with you is that it actually will happen.
Do we part company somewhere, Paul?
Yes, that's where we might part company.
Okay.
And so I think, again, I think California is going to, teach the rest of this country that, this utopia that is,
that's spending out of control and
always growing is unsustainable. It has finally hit the brick wall, and not soon enough.
So, in your opinion, the American people are going to learn.
I think,
look at you hesitate on that.
I pray.
I pray as well, because if they pass this prologue, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, I still have my rose-colored glasses firmly on my nose, and I refuse to look otherwise. I want to believe that culturally this country always pulls himself up by the bootstraps.
So did Agent Mulder. He always wanted to believe too.
Yeah, usually at the last second. But I'm a patient guy.
This is a fabulous paradox, if I don't say so myself. Are you ready?
Shoot it.
Obama can't be defeated if things improve, and things can't improve unless he's defeated. That is Barry in a Box, the Obama paradox. Now, I'm picking on him simply because he's the leader right now. I could have said the same for George W. Bush, because as a libertarian, I find them all reprehensible.
Yes, well.
Now, are you ready to move on to some other topics, Paul, or you have some more things you'd like to say about Governor Brown? Because if it's Brown, you got to flush it down.
No, it's too long to explain.
Let's
see. Sum up.
You spent it, okay. The motor voter law. What do you think about the motor voter law? Are you happy when there are more people?
You should never vote when driving. It's very dangerous.
What's in baby oil?
What's in baby oil?
The motor voter, it's like folks sliding down an MRI, billed to insurance with a Big Mac waiting at the bottom of that slide. Here you go. Thanks for sliding through. Hey, Jessica, Bill Atner, will you? Motor voter, it's people that basically have absolutely no business voting being put on the rolls to vote. Get on in there and vote. It's your civic duty, and we need your help. And if you do this, we'll give you XYZ of other people's earnings, because motor voter is always targeted to left locations, if you will.
Well, absolutely. And if they're not going to vote, somebody will vote for them.
Agreed, and multiple times, right?
That's right.
Vote early and vote often.
That's it.
And Paul, we are coming up on a slight break here, but folks out there listening, sit tight. We have another great section of this show coming up.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
And welcome back. This is WJULradio.com, WJUL 97.5 and AM 1230. I'm David Lehman, your host, and I'm here with Paul Riley. And Paul, we were just discussing what?
Well, we were discussing the most important election of your lifetime.
Now, where have I heard that before?
Well, it happens every 4 years or so, but
right.
This one's serious, folks.
Oh.
Okay? Pack a lunch, because this is about as serious as it gets, and I'm not kidding this time.
Yeah, no, but you were kidding last time, because you were convincing me, because you said the last time you weren't kidding last time.
Well, it was extremely serious. This is off the chart serious.
Right.
So I may be sounding redundant.
Right.
But
you're not.
No.
That couldn't possibly be.
I think, after this one, if it doesn't turn out the way people want it, I
think I've got a good barometer for your level of cynicism. Are you ready for this?
My cynicism?
Yeah. Yours.
Okay.
If you've got one
you
for
heard
me.
It first, Lincoln, I'm more cynical than Dave Lehman.
I did not say that. I'm just trying to gauge your level of cynicism.
Okay.
If you've got a gauge for me, happy to oblige, sir.
Okay.
Not having to show a picture ID in Texas, what gives?
It's they want to make it easy.
Who's they?
They, the powers that be, the Illuminati, the New World Order police.
Really? But okay, they want to what? You don't have to show your ID to vote in Texas. Why?
Oh, because they might have a distinct population that is lacking general identification, and it would be beneficial for, say, one party over another.
I wonder which party that could be.
Have those people show up and say,
Yep, cool.
Dave, is that party music that I hear?
I'm sorry that it is, Paul. I hope you'll join me next week when we're back again here on WJUL 97.5, AM 1230, and as always, WJULradio.com. I am David Lehman. This is The David Lehman Show. Thank you all for listening.